Icky. You know that sinking feeling when your car breaks down or your annual insurance bill arrives and you have no idea how you're going to pay for it? That panic happens because most people only budget for their monthly bills, but life doesn't work in neat monthly chunks. This is where sinking funds come in, and they're about to change everything for you. A sinking fund is simply money you set aside every month for expenses you know are coming but don't happen every month. Think about it. Your car registration happens once a year. Holiday gifts happen once a year. Your car will eventually need new tires. Your kids need back-to-school supplies. These aren't emergencies. They're inevitable expenses that feel like emergencies because you're not prepared. Here's how sinking funds work. First, make a list of all those irregular expenses you face throughout the year. Car maintenance, insurance premiums, holiday spending, birthday gifts, home repairs, annual subscriptions, medical copays, pet care, whatever applies to your life. Next, estimate how much you'll need for each category over the next 12 months. Be realistic and even generous with your estimates. Now divide each total by 12 to find your monthly contribution. If you need $600 for holiday gifts, that's $50 a month. If car maintenance typically runs $1,200 a year, set aside $100 monthly. The key is to treat these monthly contributions like any other bill. When you get paid, immediately transfer money into separate savings accounts or envelopes for each sinking fund category. Some people use high-yield savings accounts with sub-accounts, others use the old-school envelope method with cash, and some track it all in a spreadsheet while keeping the money in one savings account. The method doesn't matter as much as the consistency. What makes sinking funds so powerful is the psychological shift they create. When your car needs a repair, you're not draining your emergency fund or reaching for a credit card in desperation. You're simply using money you already allocated for exactly this purpose. There's no guilt, no stress, no derailing of your financial progress. You planned for this. Let me give you a real example. Imagine you identify 8 sinking fund categories and your total monthly contribution comes to $350. Yes, that might feel like a lot to carve out of your budget at first, but think about what happens without sinking funds. That same $350 in expenses still exists. It just hits you randomly and feels like a constant series of emergencies. You end up putting things on credit cards, paying interest, and never getting ahead. With sinking funds, you're simply paying yourself first for your own future expenses instead of paying a credit card company later with interest on top. Start small if you need to. Pick your top 3 most stressful, irregular expenses and create sinking funds just for those. Maybe it's car stuff, gifts, and one annual bill that always catches you off guard. As you get comfortable and see how well it works, add more categories. The beauty of this system is that it makes your income work harder for you. Instead of your money disappearing into a black hole of unexpected expenses, you're directing it with intention. You're taking irregular, stressful costs and transforming them into manageable monthly amounts. Within a few months, you'll have a cushion built up in each category. And here's the really exciting part. Once your sinking funds are fully funded, that monthly money you were setting aside can be redirected toward your bigger goals, like paying off debt faster or investing more. Sinking funds also reveal where your money is really going. When you sit down and calculate how much you actually spend on gifts throughout the year, or how much your pets really cost, you gain clarity about your spending patterns. Sometimes you'll realize you need to cut back in certain areas. Other times you'll feel relieved to finally have an accurate picture. One common mistake people make is confusing sinking funds with emergency funds. Your emergency fund is for true emergencies, unexpected job loss, major medical issues, things you genuinely couldn't predict. Sinking funds are for expenses that aren't surprises. You know they're coming even if you don't know the exact date or amount. Keeping these separate prevents you from constantly depleting your emergency fund for predictable costs. If you've been living paycheck to paycheck despite having a decent income, sinking funds might be the missing piece. You're not bad with money. You just haven't had a system for the lumpy, irregular nature of real-life expenses. Once you implement sinking funds, you'll wonder how you ever managed without them. The stress reduction alone is worth it, but the financial stability you'll build is truly life-changing. Start today by listing just 3 irregular expenses that stress you out. Calculate how much you need monthly, and set up a system to save that amount automatically. Within 6 months, you'll look back and realize you've finally broken the cycle of financial panic. Sinking funds aren't glamorous, but they're the unsexy financial tool that actually works. Stop letting irregular expenses control you and start controlling them instead.